Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Gosa TV and the Trig Podcast of Joy on this beautiful, beautiful Monday morning. I hope that you're doing great. How are you, my dear friend? I hope that wherever you are, whether you are working, you're at home, you're off from school or work for a few days, or maybe you're just doing the same old thing, whatever it is, I hope that you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this video. Thank you for being here. Make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, do all of those awesome things so that you can be a part of the Gosolandia TV show here on Web TV every day, Monday through Friday at least. Talking today about a very, very, very awesome topic, which is, I think, is something that's been on my mind for a while, and it came to a head, I guess, yesterday when a friend of mine was telling me about kind of how he was feeling, and so this idea of loneliness kind of came to mind. So I put together a slideshow. So if you are watching me anywhere but on Instagram, you're going to actually be able to see the slides and to see the presentation that I have for you. It's just a few slides to give you just some tips on how to overcome loneliness. So let's get right to it. Let me see here if I can just go to this particular training and we'll get started. Again, if you want to watch the actual slides, come over to YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Facebook Live, anywhere that you are watching, except on Instagram, you'll be able to see the slides. So let's get to it. Let's see here. I hope we can make this work. I think you have that there. And so let's start with this slide. So here it is, how to realize your uniqueness, beauty, and love for life, because being alone is not good enough. Being alone stinks. Being alone, it just doesn't satisfy. And I don't think any of us wants to live alone. We want to realize our uniqueness, the beauty that is in us, the things that we see because we're creatives. And then, of course, our love for life, because you and I, we love life. So here's the first thing that I advise is, number one, is get in touch with what you truly love. So speaking of what we love, we have to quiet down all the noise of everything that people tell us we should do, the expectations that we have for ourselves, and focus on what we really love. And I have three examples here. Obviously, you can put your own things in here, but people, love itself, and I'll explain that, beauty, art, creating. So people, it's obvious, right? But I think sometimes because we as creatives and as artistic types, we hear so much noise about needing to succeed and needing to be the best and needing to make money from what you create. It can really, I think, dampen or almost kill the beauty or the purity of what we really enjoy doing. Everything we do is for love. It's not for money. It's not for success. It's just for love. And that includes people, the people that we do it for, or the people that motivate us to keep going. So just to give you an example, for me, the people that I do it for is my wife. I think back when I was unemployed for almost a year, and I remember she was obviously feeling very sad and depressed and anxious as our income and our savings went down, and our debt began to go up. And every time that I think about those times, in some ways, I'm thankful for them, because it crystallized for me my love for my wife. That it doesn't matter to me whether I am the best or I'm just another person. It doesn't matter to me if my sermons are heard by 1 million people or by no one. What matters to me is that the woman that I love the most in my life is happy, that she feels that I am there for her to protect her and to give her everything I can, even when I can't make the money that thinking back on that time, even if I couldn't produce financially at that time, I was working so hard. And what motivated me was my love for my wife. And then, of course, now our 3 children. And I mean, even in a different level, perhaps, but even Daisy the dog. I mean, I am so motivated by her because she's so faithful. She's so loyal to me. You know how dogs are. Number 2, what I have up here is love itself. I mean, sometimes I think that to love itself is criticized a lot. I know I criticize that a lot in my own head. I'm thinking, man, you're just in love with love. That's why you're never going to be happy. And that could be. But to love is so beautiful. in a world where everyone is angry and yelling at each other, and they're talking about angry things politically, or you're into the environment and I'm not, you're into free marijuana and I'm not, whatever it may be, that to be in love with love itself is beautiful. You and I, we want harmony. We want oneness. We want everyone to get along. We want people to be in love with each other. And I think that that idealism is something that we bring to the table as lovers and as healers and as empaths. And we love love itself. And that, yeah, of course, that can be bad sometimes because love isn't a thing. Love is a feeling. Love is a thought. Love is a place. And sometimes we can never get to that place, but that's what makes us so unique. Get in touch with that. And then lastly, what I have on here is beauty, art, creating. I think that speaks for itself. Number 2 is to get in touch with what you really long for. Different, but yet similar, but it's unique compared to number 1. This is more of maybe something that you've lost. What I used to call finding grace in crisis. And so I have some examples. Maybe parental love, the love of your life, faith in God. What are the things that you long for because you've maybe lost them? I mean, when you lose a loved one, isn't it the worst thing? When I lost my grandma who raised me since I was a young boy, it was the worst day of my life. When I lost my father, every time that I look back on my losses, even though they're so difficult, they connect me to my true essence. Because those, even the sadness, for us creatives, right? The sadness, it connects us to the true source of who we are. When we're working or doing a bunch of stuff or making everyone happy, it just doesn't feel right. We get tired, we get weary, we lose ourselves. We wonder, why am I doing this? This makes no sense because we're not truly in touch with what we long for. We long for connection. We long for love, but sometimes that crisis is there, and it's a hang up. It's this constant, almost like a judge who's saying, see, you're never going to get there because you're missing out on this, or you didn't have that, or whatever it may be. And so things like parental love. I mean, as you know, my story, I didn't grow up with my parents. And even though I do have my mom who raised me, and they were with me for the first 12, 13 years of my life, which were very formative. But from 13 on, I didn't have my parents as I was going through a lot of things as a teenager and then as an adult. And those are things that I miss to this day. And when I get too much in my head, or I'm beating myself up, or I want to succeed, or I want to do more than I really I'm capable of, I have to go back to that parental love. And maybe that's what you're missing. Now, what do we do with these feelings? Well, obviously therapy and a lot of prayer and a lot of contemplation, yoga, thinking, writing, music. I mean, all these things that are on this list are the things that write the songs. It's the whole Barry Manilow song used to say, right? I mean, out of this longing for love from our parents or from the love of your life, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that left, or that you can't seem to connect with, or that doesn't feel the same way towards you that you feel towards her, those things obviously become painful, and we write out of that pain, we create out of that pain. And then faith in God. I think that for a lot of people, they might be going through a season where they feel far from God, or they feel like God has removed himself from us. I remember maybe 10, 15 years ago, I wrote a song out of Psalm 22 where Jesus on the cross says, "Why have you forsaken me?" And I could relate to that so well. I'm thinking, if the Son of God could feel alone, isolated, and abandoned by his Father, how can I not feel the same way? Just read the Psalms, Psalm 22, of course, and many other Psalms. So sometimes when God isn't there and he's not near, when we have that feeling that he's far from us, that he seems to be blessing everyone else except us, it really creates in us a longing that is helpful. Now you may think, well, why dwell on this? Well, we don't dwell on it, but we pause so that we can find the grace in it. What I mean by that is that we can find what people call the silver lining. So, for example, when it comes to my parents, what was the silver lining of me growing up far from them? Well, is that I grew up in this beautiful country, that I found the love of my life, and that I was able to succeed and accomplish my dreams. What was the silver lining of the love of my life? Let's see. I mean, I don't really have a lot of those memories per se, but I mean, it definitely goes back to for me for parental love. Faith in God, yes, I can. I can remember times of crisis with God. What did that teach me? That I was wrong, that He really is faithful, that He really is there, and that process going from A to B, from longing to discovery, is so beautiful. Now I feel like my faith is as rich as it's ever been. Now I feel like my love for my mom, who's still with me, is the richest it's ever been. Now with my wife, Rochelle, I feel, well, I guess, let me pause with that. What I can say about love of my life is those times that I have hurt her, that I have offended her, that I have done the wrong thing, that I have said stupid things, that I have not loved her that she deserves. And so when I think back on those times, as hard as those things are, they motivate me, because what God did is I was able to talk to her and to say, love, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And through that experience, now I feel so much more able to love her in a way that she understands, and been more forgiven, just simply more accepted for who I am. And then number 3, this is powerful. Get in touch with your true sense of adventure. This is the fun part. When you feel alone, when I feel alone, it's usually because I feel like I can't reach that ideal love, that ideal feeling, that ideal completion of all that is in me, that I can't do something at 100%, that the song isn't finished yet, and I don't like producing something that isn't 100%. But when I get in touch with my adventure, meaning when I go back to the fact that I just like taking risks, and that life is an adventure, then I feel more connected to myself and not as alone. And so what are some examples of your adventure? Well, it could be a passion project. What I mean by that, it could be you have a normal job, but then you have this other thing that is your passion project. It may not be a source of income. It may not be something that you're hugely famous or popular at, but it's something that you just enjoy: carpentry, writing, knitting, selling something online, music. It might be a million things that you love and that you do because it's just your passion. It's just something that you enjoy. You don't like the word passion. Some people don't. You can just put the word joy, just your joy project. It might be something that relaxes you instead of working so hard and having to do a million things Monday through Friday. This is a thing that you just enjoy doing, sitting in the backyard, just reading a book with your dog in a nicely mowed lawn, going for a walk and just looking at nature, spending time with your dog, calling your daughter and saying, hey, I want to spend time with my grandkids today. You're a younger person, going to your favorite restaurant and just eating an awesome meal with your best friends. Those are the passion projects that you need to get in touch with once again to avoid that loneliness. And then people you miss, places you long for. All of these things are just kind of guides to get you back thinking about your adventure. When you're in tune with your sense of adventure, then that loneliness fades away. For me, my adventure always is church, is music, is coaching people, is being online, is feeling loved, is impacting thousands and thousands of people, impacting one person in my office. My adventure also is doing just out of the box things, going, I remember one time, my wife, Rochelle and I, we went to Hawaii. I think it was for our second honeymoon. I don't know if it was a first. We had like 2 honeymoons. And I went parasailing, is that what it's called? And it was so fun. I mean, I wouldn't do it every day. I'm not exactly Mr. Risk Taker, but in some ways I love it when I do take risks. Our son, I don't surf, but he surfs. I'm not a very good swimmer. I would say I don't even know how to swim, but he is so good at that. And watching him out there on the beach on the surfboard, it gives me that almost like that borrowed sense of adventure. And it reminds me of what I want to be doing. Something that I love doing or dreaming about is having a brand new church. There's this area here near our house where they're building a bunch of new office spaces and huge, like 2-story buildings and 10 acres of stuff. Oh, beautiful buildings. And I say, Lord, that's what I want, a brand new building for my church so that people can just come from all over the world and be saved by you and receive the healing power of your Spirit and to succeed at whatever they want to do. What is your adventure? What is the thing that makes you dream, that makes you just go beyond your limitations, that helps you forget all of your problems and your pains and your longings and your bills and your limiting beliefs, as people say? What is that sense of adventure? Go back to that. Remember it. Now, something that I always think about when I hear these kind of talks is I think, well, I'm just not there. I just can't even get myself to that place. Well, go back to simply just feeling. I don't know if I have it here, but yeah, I do. I have here in my desk this rock. I think I bought this in Bend, Oregon. I actually bought it. I didn't pick it up at the beach or anything, which I wish I had. But either way, I have a few of these. I have one in my car, in my office, and here at the house. This stone makes me feel human. It's just, a nice, round, smooth stone. And the color doesn't mean anything to me. It's just more the smoothness and that it's something real. When you're like me, when we're the creatives and the artists and the passionaries, we tend to idealize everything. And we're not always thankful for the things that we do have, for the joys that are all around us. And that's usually because we are not feeling loved. We're not letting love truly touch our souls. Love is all around you. It's all around you. So sometimes even just grabbing something that's real, that's cold, like in this case, it kind of awakens me. Going to the beach and just looking at the sky more than anything awakens me. I remember one time, a few friends of mine, we went to a monastery to pray, and there was this little pond that was running water, and I knew the water was super cold, but I rolled up my pants and I said, hey, come on, guys, let's jump in and let's just be in there together. And it was one of those weird moments. Like, I hope nobody's watching these three guys, with their pants rolled up, holding hands in a pond in a monastery. But I'll never forget that moment because it made me feel something. The cold water on my feet, my pants that got kind of wet, the awkwardness of holding hands with two other dudes with our hairy legs and nasty toes. Just that awkwardness made me feel alive. Like, love is here. And of all the things that I've done with these two friends of mine who are beautiful friends, it's that moment, and I have a few other moments with them that stand out because it's when I actually felt alive. I pursued my adventure. I took that risk to get in the water and to do something that was pretty awkward. Sometimes it's all it takes is to grab a stone or to jump in the water or to look at the sky, to let the wind hit your face, to just hug your dog, or we have a bunny, just hug your bunny if he lets you, to write a letter to someone that you love. Maybe you don't even send that letter. If it's to your dad or your mom, maybe you don't have that relationship with them, but it's just to write a letter of love. Is to invite your friends over, and even if they say no and they're busy, and oh man, I know that happens to me, and I always get all down when people don't want to come and spend time with me, and I feel so alone, and that's just kind of my natural state, I think, is loneliness. But is to even keep trying when you don't feel like even doing anything, when you feel like just descending into despair, into depression, and into loneliness and anxiety and sadness. Those are the times to implement some of these things and to get in touch with yourself. Go and be alone. Go and do something that is sane, that is healthy, that is legal. I don't recommend drugs or any of that craziness that a lot of people are into to try to do this very thing. But to do these things that are healthy, obviously spending time with God. For me, if truth be told, that's probably one of the hardest things for me to do, to get in touch with myself. But when I do, when I go to the scriptures, when I sing that song, when I play a certain song from my youth that moves me, I'm just a mess. I am so integrated and I'm so whole because the love of God touches me in a deeper way, and I don't have to succeed or fail or perform or be liked or get my hair perfect or have 1,000 likes or one like or whatever. Nothing matters. All that matters is that I am in tune with my Savior. I am in tune with myself and with the beauty of the things I love. So just to wrap up, an example from yesterday, as I said, yesterday was beautiful. It was hard because for any pastor, you always want 3 times the people, 3 times the success, 3 times the whatever, and none of that mattered. What mattered most to me yesterday were a few moments. First, it was this friend who I was talking to about loneliness, and just feeling that connection to him was beautiful. Second was baptizing a friend of mine. She's been through so much, and she was just beaming. It was such a joy to walk her through the baptism experience and to literally bring her down into the death of her old ways and into the new life of her new ways. Beautiful moment for me, I know for her and for the whole church. Maybe third is that we have a lot of kids at our church, and many of them, they look up to me because I'm the pastor and whatever. And I remember this one little girl, she was kind of shy and she wanted to hug me, and because she has like 3 other siblings, and I was hugging all of them, but she kind of wanted to maybe not be just in line. She wanted me to kind of notice her. So I finally did. And I went over there and just hugged her and gave her a little kiss on the head. And it was just a beautiful moment. It reminded me that it's not about numbers or about how much money or about do I look good or did I preach the perfect sermon. It's about getting in touch with my adventure, which is to love that child, to counsel a friend who's dealing with loneliness, to just simply eat in the fellowship hall, just an awesome lunch with my amazing friends, and to just simply enjoy the meal, and to thank my friend. I'm an amazing friend of mine, make this amazing meal, and we had a few people that helped. But at the end, she said a few words, excuse me, and I just said, hey, why don't you stay right here? And I just told the church how much I love my friend, because we are so similar in so many ways, and we've shared so many beautiful moments, and I just really love her and her whole family, her husband and her kids. They have been a joy to me and to the whole church. And just those moments, do they placate the need to succeed and the drive to have more? No, they don't eliminate it, but they do placate that, meaning they smooth and they sand down the sharp edges that wants more, that wants to be popular or wants to have power or any of that stuff. And they bring me back into the true essence of who I am. And I know that it does the same thing to you. Get in touch with those people that you really love. And I know for many people, it's just their own husband and wives and their children. I know for probably 99% of you that are listening, that's where you have to start and end. It's just with your wife, with your husband, to go on a date with the person you love, to go away for a weekend with that man of your dreams. To, if you're younger and you're not married, you have your parents, is to somehow think through, why do you love your parents? Is to go on a date with your dad. Is to, if you have a girlfriend, is to maybe tell her or him, why is it that you were drawn to them to begin with? My point is, go back to the basics. Go back to the simplicity of love when it comes to your faith in Jesus. I mean, yesterday, actually, I would say Good Friday, I went to a Good Friday service. I had a great experience with God. The pastor was talking about how Jesus has conquered Satan. And this is even before the whole Sri Lanka horribleness had happened over the weekend. But something, maybe I was already thinking ahead. Maybe God was giving me discernment. I don't know. But when he said that, I thought, wow, Jesus has conquered Satan and evil. And that's why we celebrate Easter. And then when the whole thing of Sri Lanka happened, man, it just all came together. I thought, that's why we got to do Easter. Because Jesus has conquered that horrible evil that happened in Sri Lanka. If you haven't heard, hundreds of people were killed. I think bombings in churches and hotels. And it seemed to be kind of an anti-Christian movement there in Sri Lanka, in the southern tip of India. So with all that said, I want to just end with a final slide. If you want to receive my coaching, davidtree.com/free coaching, free coaching for the first 20 minutes, and then it's only $1 a day if you'd like to talk through some of these things with someone that can help you, that understands. I'm here to help anytime that you need. So I hope that those tips have helped you. I hope that this presentation has been powerful. And again, if you have been anywhere but on Instagram, I think that the slides would be very helpful to you, and that I hope that you can feel connected to these slides. If you would like to receive these slides for free, just simply go to davidtree.com/free coaching. Just enter your email and I will send you the slides so you can just keep them here, keep them in mind. Thanks so much, guys, and I will see you next time.